Good evening, everyone, and thank you for listening to the Futurati Podcast, where we dive into how emerging technologies will impact the world and your bank account. I'm Trent Fowler, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Thomas Fry. Thomas and I are futurists, keynote speakers, and consultants with decades of experience in analyzing trends and communicating new developments to audiences across the world. Reach out to us at futuratipodcast.com/contact-futurati if you'd like to hire us for consulting, to speak at your event, or to advertise on our podcast. Thomas, we just wrapped up an interview with Chirp founder Timothy Kravchunovsky. He has a very grand ambition for putting the Internet of Things on a decentralized technology like blockchain and using that to revolutionize security, smart cities, autonomous vehicles, and possibly even solving the problem with smoke alarms that you are constantly going on about. So, what was your main takeaway from the interview?
Yeah, well, this is quite fascinating because this is the logical progression of how we kind of automate our houses, and that seems to be where they're focusing their attention initially. So everything from the smart thermostats to the smart air conditioners to smart refrigerators, even robotic lawnmowers that I find quite fascinating. Um, you could actually use your robotic lawnmower as a lethal weapon. That dog next door that is causing problems, you could just suddenly program it in to go after that dog, and then you just say, "Whoops, I didn't know it was doing that." And yeah,
Rogue automation. Rogue automation.
yeah, yeah. So there's all kinds of interesting twists and turns that this is going to go through. I find this absolutely fascinating. I think we're going to have lots of devices in our houses in the coming years, and the people that want to take advantage of this, I think the Chirp people are right on the edge of making this all tied together.
It's a staple of science fiction, isn't it? Where anytime someone tries to imagine what the future is going to look like in 2040 or 50 or 60 or something like that, it's always got a healthy dose of automation in the home where you can talk to your fridge, you can talk to the cooking robot, whatever it is. It seems to be part of the furniture of people's imagination when they forecast into the future what life will be like. But he makes the astute observation that part of the reason nobody's making much progress on that is that it's really hard to do. You've got to be a pretty sophisticated coder to put together even rudimentary IoT systems, other than just out of the box stuff that does single modular tasks. What they're wanting to do is unify a lot of those frameworks and interfaces so that pretty much anybody could just no code an app together or no code a workflow together or something kind of like that, so that they can automate some important series of tasks in their home or monitor it remotely. Remote monitoring is something that came up repeatedly, how you could know that a property somewhere on the other side of the world is flooding or the temperature is rising high enough for it to indicate a fire, and you would actually be able to take some sort of action sitting all the way in the United States and to try to ameliorate the problem that's unfolding. So I think there's a lot of promise there for sure, especially as people move to an Airbnb model or own properties that are throughout the world, or just have things they want to track. Shipping comes to mind, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, I did. I thought it was rather unusual that they tied in a crypto mining operation into their system as well. So you put in an antenna and it's automatically mining their crypto. I hope that works out for them. This is pushing the envelope as to some of the capabilities and some of the comprehensibilities of consumers. Most people don't understand all these facets of things. So um, yeah, well, I wish them the best, and I hope we get to talk about them again in the future.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. There's a lot about my home I don't understand, but hopefully the Internet of Things and 5G and blockchain will be a little bit more comprehensible to you after you listen to this interview. So without further ado, this is episode 128 with Timothy Kravchunovsky. Tonight, we're joined by Timothy Kravchunovsky. Tim is an experienced network engineer who has decades of experience in consulting and entrepreneurship. Today, he's the CEO of Chirp, where he's using decentralized technologies like the blockchain to change the Internet of Things. If you enjoy this interview, please subscribe to the podcast and share it with your friends. And don't forget to check out our website, futuratipodcast.com. Tim, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Let's hear a little bit about your background, your interests, and what brought you to working on the problems that you're working on today.
Yeah, my name is Tim Kravchunovsky. I'm a founder of Chirp, Chirp Wireless. Been in IoT and IT industry pretty much my entire life. Have worked as a network engineer for 25 years. So last couple of years haven't been really hands-on in engineering, more on the management side. But yeah, have been in this industry all my life, and now we're starting our own project, decentralized IoT. So decentralized IoT and wireless broadband. So we have two sides to our project. So wireless broadband is going to start a little bit later next year, but we strongly believe that wireless is the future. So people refuse to think that telephone landlines will go, and now nobody uses them. So we're strong believers that nobody's going to be using wired internet in the future, and IoT is obviously wireless already even today. So
could you tell us what IoT is, and tell us why you're excited about that? Like, why is this something anyone should care about or be watching?
So essentially, Internet of Things is absolutely any device connected to the internet. Most of the people, if you're not in IT industry, when I ask like, what are your associations with IoT, most of the people say something like, smart refrigerator or smart microwave. So smart dishwasher. So those things that you will probably never use together with internet. So you will probably download a program, and you will never use it again. IoT is actually a lot more than that, and a lot of people don't think that it's all around us even today. But IoT last year, it was a $201 billion market. So it's those are not projections for the future. Those are real numbers from last year. So IoT is literally all around us. The best use case. So like if you think about IoT, so you probably don't have your house automated. You probably don't know anybody who has their house automated. But if you look out the window, every single car, every single truck on the road uses IoT already. So every single commercial vehicle, Uber, whatever it is, or truck, most of them, they use cellular technology, and they transfer information from the GPS tracker. So most of those vehicles, they have a GPS tracker. So GPS tracker receives information from the satellite, and it needs to process that information. Otherwise, it will just stay on that GPS tracker. So every single GPS tracker has some kind of IoT device. Most of the time, they use cellular technology, and they transmit that data to the server. So when you're using GPS on your phone, so your phone also has a GPS sensor, but it's actually using your SIM card inside your phone to transmit the information to the server, and that's why you can see where you are. So all of those GPS sensors that are inside of trucks, inside of taxis, they use cellular technology most of the time. And companies can see if the driver is speeding. They transmit all of the information about the car. So speed, location, some technical characteristics, if car needs maintenance, fuel consumption, fuel theft. Right now, I mean, you can use IoT really to monitor even driver behavior. So if you have driver who is driving a public bus and he has 30 people behind him and he's texting while driving, so company that employed him can get notifications that he needs some training and his driver behavior is not appropriate. So
So
there's a lot of things that you can do, and it's literally like all around us already.
so
It's under the hood.
as we
Right.
move into the driverless era, how does that change for the IoT world, the Internet of Things change?
It's only getting started. So if you think about it, if already every single car uses, every single commercial vehicle uses IoT, if you think about autonomous driving, in autonomous driving alone, you will have multiple sensors. You will have multiple communication protocols. So it's just going to take it to a whole new level. I mean, this industry, IoT, is just getting started, and we're going to be automating everything. At Chirp, we're making really IoT easy for everyone. The reason why you don't know anyone who automated their house is because IoT, the entire industry is just such a mess right now. In order to implement an IoT solution, there's a study that you need to employ up to 18 different vendors to stitch together a coherent IoT solution. It is extremely complex. You have to use multiple platforms. You have to use multiple vendors, and you have to even employ entire IT department just to manage your IoT. So you are doing something to make your life easier, but you are employing the entire team just to manage those IoT devices. It's extremely difficult. And what we're doing at Chirp, we're just making it a lot easier for everybody to use. We're making it easier and cheaper for companies to deploy IoT solutions, but we're also opening doors to residential clients. So we're making it so easy that my parents can easily automate their house. It's estimated that in the next couple of years, every single person will have up to 10 IoT devices. So any smart device that gets connected to the internet. With 8 billion people on the planet, that's 80 billion devices in the next couple of years. I mean, it's enormous. I mean, we're just starting this journey. Then we have smart cities. I mean, that's going to be also a huge use case. There's so many verticals where you can use IoT. It's unbelievable. It's the entire industry. What you can do with IoT is limited only by our imagination. It can really change the way we function in the future.
So will I be able to talk to my thermostat then?
You can already talk to your thermostat. So we're actually going to be integrating. Yeah, you can use Amazon services. You can use Alexa. But the beauty of IoT, it's you can program it in any way you want. So if we wanted to integrate an IoT device with Alexa, it can be done, and you would be able to control it with your voice. So it's not something in the near future, but IoT is a lot more than those devices inside your house. We're taking IoT to a whole new level. So you can literally automate your house, and then you can take that automation outside. You can take that automation into your car. You can take that automation into so like electric bicycles. They're really popular right now. Expensive equipment, and they get stolen left and right. So you can now track those electric bicycles throughout the world. So anywhere, robotic lawnmowers. So Previously, IoT was something that was constrained by your walls. Now it's a global project, and that's what we're developing. So you can take any of those devices, you can take them outside, you can monitor anything. So it's really just limited by your imagination how much you can do with it. It's truly unbelievable.
I'd like to spend some more time on the use cases. So you started with autonomous vehicles and GPS, which is a natural place to start, given that we've already got cars talking to satellites and this sort of thing. I'm less sold on the idea that I would want to automate my toaster or my blender or my oven. I mean, I could see, turning the heat up or down when I leave the house. Okay, automating the lawnmower, fine. But I'm not really clear on the value of automating your home, other than it just being kind of a cool project. I mean, as a technologist, it's something I might want to do, but for for it being a billion dollar market, what's driving people to experiment with that in the first place? Why would they care?
So when you think of automation, what exactly is automation? Home security. So home security, there are companies throughout US, crime is rising. People are installing home security systems. What is home security? Door and window sensors that you install that communicate. Those are already IoT. But what you see right now is most of the time that those technologies, they use Wi-Fi. So what you need, so for example, like I think in the US right now, Ring is pretty popular, right? Mm-hmm. So you have video camera, you have those door and window sensors, and they communicate with your Wi-Fi router. What happens if somebody wants to break into your house? So professional thief, what do? They first thing that they do is they cut the electrical wires, they cut Wi-Fi, they cut internet, and your system no longer functions. So that's a home security system, but it's also IoT. So with our technologies, you can do home security systems. You can install those door and window sensors, and they talk to our global network. So you don't need electricity inside your house. You don't need Wi-Fi inside your house. You can put those door and window sensors in your home. If there's no electricity, you can still monitor it through your phone. You can monitor it through our web app. If you have a shed, so sheds, they're typically further away from your house, and Wi-Fi typically does not reach those areas. You can still install sensors. You can still install video cameras. You can install everything. So like with video cameras, obviously you need power because they are power hungry. But you can put like a solar panel with a battery, and you can power it in remote areas. So that's the biggest use case where you would want to automate something. I have a friend that rents his vacation property. He does it on Airbnb, and so what he can do remotely, when tenants leave the property, he can shut off electricity if they left the lights on. He can turn off heating system. So he can turn off everything remotely. When the cleaning crew comes in, he can open the door remotely. So there's a lot more to IoT than a smart toaster that will never be used. So I actually had this incident once. My parents have a house, and during one cold winter, it froze. And I had to fly out there. It's in Europe, and European heating system is a little bit different from the American heating system. Everything goes through radiators, and so it's connected with pipes, and water flows through. So there was a power outage, and the entire house froze. when the entire house froze, all of the radiators, everything bursted. So to prevent that, you can literally drain the water from radiators when you know that power is out, because right now you don't need power to communicate to your devices anymore with our global network. So if it was now, I could have drained the water from the radiators from I could see that temperature is dropping, so I could call somebody and I could say, hey, listen, can you please go out there and can you check what is happening? So there's a lot of use cases even in residential, and by no longer having this limitation of your walls, you can now also monitor. For example, you have a robotic lawnmower that just cuts your grass. Also expensive equipment if somebody steals it, but now you can put a tracker on that expensive equipment. Somebody steals it, you will be able to find it with no problems. So we're really taking home automation or business automation, and we're making it global, so you can use it anywhere. I mean, it's truly amazing what you can do. It's and you can have coverage pretty much anywhere. So,
hello, this is Trent Fowler, co-host of the Futurati podcast. One of the most common pieces of marketing advice I've come across is to know your audience and give them what they want. One difficulty in podcasting is that it's actually pretty hard to do this. None of the major platforms give us any way to reach out to you, our listeners, to find out what you enjoy about the Futurati podcast and what you'd like to see done differently. So we've decided to record this commercial and ask you directly to reach out to us. Head over to futuratipodcast.com, go to the contact page, and drop us a line. Tell us about your favorite and least favorite episodes, what you'd like to see us cover in the future, and anything else you want us to know. We produce this show for you, and we want your advice so we can make it even better. Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about the blockchain connection. So you're trying to do decentralized IoT, you're building on the blockchain. What's the justification for that? And what's the technical underpinnings? Which blockchain are you building on? Are you doing your own? How's that work?
So blockchain, we have not announced yet. We have partnered with a blockchain. So I can probably say when is this program going live? So we just need to make sure that the blockchain announcement goes out first before I say it. So.
Okay. What does it start with a B? Which
No. So okay, yeah, we can just leave the blockchain. We're waiting for the official announcement. But
how about why? How about why? So leave the specifics aside. Why that and not a bunch of S3 buckets or something?
So when you think about IoT, so IoT is powered by antennas. It's antennas that are providing signal to the entire world. So previously it was done by cellular companies, and cellular companies, what do? They have a crew that goes out and they have a cell tower, and they mount those antennas on a cell tower. It's a very expensive process, and it's very time consuming. So by the time they deploy 5G, so right now, all of the cellular companies, they're focusing on 5G, which is just one of the IoT protocols. And there's about 12 of those protocols that are being used by IoT. So right now they're focusing on 5G. It's very promising for autonomous cars. It can transmit a lot of information, but it's very time consuming and it's very expensive. So they're struggling to roll it out. And while they're rolling out 5G, South Korea is already starting to implement 6G. And it's this process that is very time consuming and expensive. And with a blockchain, you can fix those problems because you're giving the power to the community. And what we're doing is we're making our community, we're making them our subcontractors. So they install the antennas for us, but they install them according to our specifications. So those are professional installs. Those antennas provide professional coverage, but those antennas are installed on top of residential properties. So if you think about a cellular company, most of the time, the amount of antennas that they have for IoT is about 5,000 antennas. With power of decentralization, you can overthrow that number a lot quicker. So yesterday we had our first miner sale, and miner is essentially an antenna that you install in your house. And with that antenna, you mine our native cryptocurrency. But essentially what is happening, all of the clients that use our IoT network and they connect IoT devices to our network, they pay to use the service, just like you pay for your cell phone service. When you use your cell phone, you pay to AT&T or Verizon. They pay to use our service, and those funds, they get distributed between the people that hold our network, between the people that make our network possible. So to those people that deploy those antennas for us, those profits get distributed. And with a project that we're starting next year, decentralized wireless broadband, it's high-speed internet that will be beamed to residences, businesses, to very large areas, to cities. People will use internet. So if there's signal in your area where you live, you can switch from Verizon, you can switch from whoever you are using, and you can pay up to 50% less because we don't have to dig the trenches. We don't have to lay the physical fiber optic cable underneath the ground. And we can do it all with a power of Web3 in our community. So it's really amazing what you can achieve. So yesterday, I already told you that we had our first miner gateway sale. So those antennas, and we sold 250. It's our test batch, but we sold it in a couple of hours. So if you think about large telecommunication companies, when they have 5,000 antennas, so we have already, 250 that sold and are going out to 22 countries in the next couple of months. I mean, it's really amazing what you can do when you unite the people, and when you give them a little bit more power, and when you distribute the profits, when they don't go to one corporation, but they go to the community that is providing that service. And we have thought about upgrading our equipment as well. So our miners, we understand that technology develops, and what I told you, those companies, they're installing 5G antennas, and South Korea is already thinking about installing 6G. Same with our antennas, maybe in 4 or 5 years, they're probably going to be obsolete. So we have an incentive for our community to upgrade the equipment. So we made our equipment in a modular way where you don't have to switch the entire antenna. You open up the antenna, there's a couple of modules inside. When new technology comes out, you take out the module, you put it inside, and you get rewarded for keeping your equipment upgraded. So, but essentially it's it lays on the community. Community buys the upgraded equipment, installs it, and they receive higher rewards when new technology comes out. And really, sky is the limit. We don't know what's going to be around in a couple of years. So maybe something completely new is going to come out. And with power of decentralization, we can just pretty much roll out any new technology with blockchain, and we can incentivize the people to roll it out a lot quicker and a lot cheaper. So, and everybody benefits from it. So it's really amazing.
Are you enjoying this episode of the Futurati podcast? If so, please like it, give the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and share it with your friends. By far, the best way to help us grow is to spread the word on social media, which will expose our content to more people and help us continue to bring you interviews with world-leading experts in AI, quantum computing, cryptocurrencies, and so much more. Thank you in advance.
Everything you've been talking about up to this point has been consumer-based. I'm assuming you're also working with businesses as well. So do you have a B2B side of your business?
Correct. So there's really a lot of verticals. Like I said, probably biggest vertical is asset tracking and video telematics, and we're focusing our business on that. But it's essentially healthcare is also going to be a big industry. Then building automation. For example, people that have high rises that are rental properties. There's a lot of use cases there. Utilities. So you can automate your water meters, your electricity meters, and utility companies, instead of sending somebody to a property to take readings from your utility meter, they can do it all remotely. If you don't pay your bill, they can shut you off remotely. I mean, it's just the way it works, but there's capability in there. IoT, there's a lot of verticals in B2B side, but we think that B2C has great potential if you make IoT easy, and that's what we're trying to do. Like I said, 8 billion people on the planet times 10 devices per person, that's 80 billion devices. So
do you have any privacy concerns, data privacy concerns? How do you silo out the data from my home so that somebody can't deduce when I'm coming and going and rob me or do whatever they would want to do with
it's IoT security is a big topic right now, and it's essentially you can hack the device. But in order to hack the device, it's pretty complex. So I wouldn't worry about thieves that rob houses to hack the devices. It's going to be something on a more serious level. So probably there's not a lot of threat to the residential community, but to businesses and healthcare in particular, it's a big concern. So right now, IoT technologies are developing where you have robots doing remote surgeries. So like you have a surgeon standing in one city and he's operating on somebody remotely. And IoT technologies can really do that. And in here, obviously, hacking the system is of great concern, but it's a big topic in the IoT industry right now, and it's being addressed. I mean, it's not like everybody's sitting and nobody's doing anything. So it's constantly developing. Also with smart cities, if you have street lights, traffic lights, there's always a risk that you can hack the system. You've seen those movies where they hack the system with traffic lights, and there's accidents and so on and so forth. But it's not easy to do. But there are vulnerabilities. So we're also taking IoT security seriously. We're implementing zero trust structure. Right. So essentially, we have tunneling with reverse SSH. You have a tunnel from one computer to another or from device to another, and that tunnel is encrypted. So you cannot do anything. Well, it just makes it a lot more difficult to do something. And for really high security areas, for governments, military operations, you can always deploy a server on your side. So you can have an IoT server that processes the information from your IoT devices. You can install it on your property, so you have full control of it, and you have IT department that manages it. But you can also use a global network, so it gives you flexibility. So yeah, security is a big concern, but industry is actively involved in IoT security, and it's being worked on.
So with smart cities, there's kind of a trend towards moving towards drone security systems. Have you had some experience working with drone security systems, and how do those play out? You haven't done that yet?
Yeah, unfortunately not. There's thousands and thousands of use cases. You can't possibly concentrate on everything. So we're focusing on the biggest verticals right now. But yeah, drone security. It's essentially IoT uses multiple protocols, and drone security is a wireless protocol that controls your drone. So whether it's from a remote computer, you can control it, or you can control it from a remote that you hold in your hands. Yeah, so probably like a larger problem in drone space right now is the battery life. So there's already technology that can control those drones far away. So you can see the drone, you can get information to the drone and from the drone, but the battery life, unfortunately, there's no batteries developed that let it fly for long periods of time. So people are also working on that, but it's not out there.
Okay.
Do you need a dynamic and knowledgeable speaker for an event? Thomas Fry and me, Trent Fowler, are both seasoned keynote speakers, able to converse on a wide array of topics to audiences of all sizes and skill levels. Go to the contact page at futuraudiopodcast.com to book Thomas or myself today, and let us apply our years of experience in public speaking to make your event a smashing success.
What do you see as the major verticals? You've mentioned healthcare a couple of times. You already touched on security and maybe transportation. Are there any others, perhaps some that would be surprising, something that a VC could look out for?
So utilities, smart cities, transportation, industrial. So a lot of factories are using robotics right now, and so robotics is one industry, but what controls those robots is IoT. So how you control them from the computer. So a lot of factories, they're installing those robots that build cars, that automate pretty much anything. If you've seen Amazon warehouses, I mean, it's just insane level of automation that they have in there. So yeah, that's a big industry. So yeah, but those are the main ones. And obviously nobody's thinking about residential IoT right now because like I said, just people, they're limited to those toasters and microwaves. But there's a lot you can do in residential IoT, and we're trying to tackle that.
So how big a company is Chirp?
So obviously we've been around only for a year and a half. So we're a fairly new company. We have about 20 people on our team. So, and we're raising funds right now to double our team and bring some impressive technologies to the market.
Okay.
What do you see as the next couple of iterations of this technology? And you can talk specifically from the perspective of Chirp or just the industry more generally. What do you think are the next couple of leaps?
Uh, autonomous cars, that's just around the corner. We're seeing already tests being done in China. There's already taxis deployed. I think that industry is just gonna take over. We're gonna see driverless cars all over the place. It's still challenging in northern hemispheres because a lot of the cars they use they use cameras or the sensors that they use on top of cars. When you have a lot of snow, you can't really see the road. So there's a lot of challenges in there. So it's a lot more difficult for the system to analyze the situation. But where roads are fine and where you have the markings on the roads and everything, so in there we're going to see autonomous driving really take off. So smart cities, everything from smart parking to smart utilities. We'll already see smart parking being integrated. So when you pull up to a parking garage, you already see how many spots are open and how many are taken. So that's all IoT. Sometimes it's very expensive to deploy that because they still use wires. And when you go to those underground garages, you will see a sensor on top of every parking spot, but then you will see thousands of wires going to each one of those sensors. So with wireless technologies, you can literally put up a sensor on top of the car or underneath the car, and when the car pulls up, it sends information wirelessly to the computer that the spot is taken. So it's developing and it's really exciting.
So I still contend that the smoke detector that you had in your hand there is the worst product ever invented, because the battery goes dead at 3 in the morning, and it's like 12 feet up to the ceiling where it's stuck, and there's just no way in hell, and I want to pull out a shotgun and shoot it down. So how does Chirp improve that terrible product there?
How does Chirp stop the chirp? The goddamn smoke alarm chirp. Tell me how you're going to make my life better, Tim.
So unfortunately, we're not in the device business. Our network is radio and brand agnostic. This is a smoke detector from another company that we use. They actually say that battery in here lasts for 10 years. And it's a long-range smoke detector that doesn't connect to your house, so it connects to our network, to our global network. So, like I said, you know, if there's no electricity in your house and there's a fire, you can still get notified on your phone. So you will still be able to see that, you know, something is happening. Yeah, but unfortunately, that's not our business. Battery business is is something else. But they're working on that. So those solid state batteries, that's going to be the future. I'm really looking forward to that. There's a couple of companies I'm tracking in solid battery space, and it's going to be really exciting. But we're probably not going to see it anytime soon with smaller batteries. We're probably going to see it on cars first. So,
gotcha. Well, are there any final thoughts you want to leave with the Future Audio Podcast audience?
So, decentralization is the future, and wireless is the future. So, what we're doing is really can open up a lot of doors for IoT. So whoever, if you haven't thought about IoT before, think of this podcast and think of Chirp. Maybe you can participate in our community and help distribute signal across the world by installing our miners. It is passive income, so you install it. Those antennas, by the way, they don't consume a lot of energy. It's not like Bitcoin miners. They consume only 5 watts of power, so it's really amazing. So you can literally install an antenna in a remote area. You can power it with solar battery, and you can have it remotely. So, or in your house, really doesn't consume a lot of energy. So it's really good passive income source, and you're participating in a real life Web3 project. So that is that hopefully will be used every day and by everyone. So.
Well, fantastic. That's a grand vision you have. We wish you the best of luck, and thanks for coming on the Futurati podcast to talk it over with us.
Hey,
Yeah,
thank
thanks,
you
Tim.
for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thanks.